Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with a garlic-studded, herb-rubbed pork shoulder. Such a great cut of meat. I topped it with some romaine, cherry tomatoes, served it on beans. This was fantastic, and I did it completely wrong. Let me explain. I'm going to take this pork shoulder. It was about, 3.5 pounds. It had a piece of the shoulder blade in there, so they call this bone in. And step one here is I'm going to stud it with garlic, which just means poke holes and with your finger shove in some pieces of garlic. Just take some garlic cloves, peel them, cut them in half or cut them in quarters, and just push it in. So easy. So I did about 5 or 6 per side. I'm going to go ahead and add some olive oil on there, about a tablespoon, rub it, make sure it's coated. That's going to make all the delicious herbs and spices stick to it. I'm going to hit it with some black pepper, freshly ground, lots of it. A good dose of kosher salt. Remember, when you're seasoning meat this big, you need lots of seasoning. Some dry Italian herbs, thyme, oregano, marjoram, a nice sprinkling of dry rosemary, a little dose of cayenne pepper, and then I'm going to toss that so it's all evenly coated. Now, when I mentioned earlier that I'm going to do this completely kind of wrong, that means I'm going to put it in a pan without any liquid, without covering it, without cooking it at a really low temperature. This went for 3 hours at 325. Then I turned off the oven. See, the light went out. I turned off the oven and I just left it in there to cool for another hour. I didn't want it kind of wet, falling apart, moist like pulled pork. I wanted it to be kind of dry and chewy and crusty. Because what I did is I let it cool overnight. Then I sliced it in these thick steaks. I took out some of the garlic if it was on a surface. I didn't want that to burn in the pan here. Gave it just a little sprinkling of salt. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to sear, not over high heat, actually over kind of medium-low heat. I'm going to sear those pieces of pork shoulder, just a little bit of olive oil, for about 10 minutes per side till they get beautiful brown and crusty. So what I was going for here is texture. All right, I didn't want a slow roasted, fallen apart, wet piece of pork. I wanted a solid, chewy, crusty piece of pork that I could serve over some delicious beans. And you know what? It totally worked. I took some baby romaine. I laid the pieces of romaine together so I could chiffonade, which just means kind of roll up leaves and cut them in ribbons. I threw in some cherry tomatoes. Now, I really wanted to call this pickled romaine, but then I thought, well, that's a stupid name. It's just romaine with vinegar on it. A little salt and pepper. And you might be thinking, hey, where's the oil? Shouldn't this be a vinaigrette? No, it shouldn't. The pork has all the fat you need, all the oily goodness, the unctuousness that you want. So this is simply a base of white beans that I just heated with a little salt and pepper, my amazing, not moist, firm and chewy pork shoulder, and then I topped it with my vinegared greens and tomatoes, and that was so, can I say freaking on the internet? That was so freaking good. Those soft, smooth, simple white beans underneath, that aromatic herb rub pork studded with garlic, just completely scented with garlic, crispy edged, the vinegary, sharp greens on top, perfect foil for the fatty, delicious meat. What a great combination. You don't always have to cook pork shoulder the same way. So this totally worked for me. Give it a try. All the ingredients are on the site. And as always, enjoy.